Hello all, here we go with a grid drawing. What we're going to do here today is we're going to use a blank grid, which is also known as your mystery grid, and then we also have a second document, which is our source document, and it's called the subject. And what we're going to do is use this subject, and they're kind of mixed up randomly, it's almost like a puzzle, and we're going to draw and fill in our blank grid until we get the image that's actually hidden within this, I guess you could call it a visual puzzle. Okay, so what you need to do is make sure you print out both of these documents. One you'll draw on and one you're going to use as a source, and that's why I call it a source document. Okay, so here we go. Here are your two documents. This is my blank document, and you can see it has numbers and they're in sequential order. It goes 1 through 6 across the top, and then 7 through 13, I guess, on the bottom. And then this is your source document or your subject, and it has all the numbers of each one randomly placed. So what you have to do is actually find the number that you're going to draw and draw it in each one of those blocks. Okay, the first one we're going to find is number 1. Well, number 1 happens to be blank. So then what we're going to do is we're going to move into number 2. And where is number 2? Let's look around here for a little bit. Oh, there it is, right there. Can you guys see it? There's number 2. And so I'm going to find number 2 on my blank document. And I actually am going to have to pull this down a little bit so you guys can see it. There we go. That's a little bit better. And one of the things that I will do to help me out when I'm grid drawing is I'll actually split each one of my squares into 4 smaller squares. I'll break them in half. So that's what these guidelines are for. And then I'll do the same thing on my source document. And you can see I've done that on the bottom there. Okay, and basically what that does is just kind of help me out on where the lines will begin and end. And you can see this first line, it kind of begins just above the halfway point, and I'm very lightly going to draw these down. I also want to include the line quality, and basically what that is, it's the width of the line. So I want to put that in there as well. Make sure you draw light, because eventually what's going to happen is this, just like a puzzle, is all going to match up. And if it doesn't match up perfectly, then what you can do is erase and go back in and make any corrections. This does kind of take a while to do, but once you get onto it, you can move pretty quick. Now we're going to be looking around here until we find number 3. Okay, and what I've done is I always fold my drawing so I can get the subject and what I'm drawing on kind of closely, right side by side. It makes it a little bit easier to do the drawing. Here I go again, breaking everything up into 4 smaller grids. And then I can use my source document or my subject to begin filling in. And you see how number 2 and 3, those 2 lines, they almost kind of match up. So I'm going to use those, and I'm going to draw that line down. Again, I'm using my halfway points as well. Note where it ends up on the corner too. That'll help you out. This is an excellent way to get the proportions of an assignment down. Can you imagine doing this like if you were doing a portrait and you divided the portrait into 12, 8, 16 or more grids, and then did a drawing? You could probably draw pretty accurately if you did that. Just kind of sped it up here for you guys just to move things along. Now we're ready to do number 4. And with number 4, look around for it, and there it is there. Now that one's a pretty easy one. It only has a couple lines on it. But notice those lines where they're located at the halfway point in each box. So once again, it's a good idea to split those boxes in half. And you don't have to draw it directly across. I just kind of draw a little line halfway in between. And then I know where to put my lines, where they're going to begin on the box and where they're going to end. Again, let me emphasize this, kind of keep them light, because what will happen is we're all human, we're going to make mistakes. So we're going to keep these kind of light so that way we can go back in and we can erase when we need to. Now this first row took me about 15 minutes. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you got to plan out and how far you got to go each day. You can't complete this in one period. This is probably going to take you, in my guess or my estimation, 3 to 4 periods to do. and I'll make sure to put enough time into the class for you guys to do this. Now, this is only one technique that you can use as far as drawing accurately. What I want to do next week is show you another one called comparative measurement that is very similar to this, except you're not using a grid. Now I want to take a look at my number 5, and again I split that one up, and I fold my paper over so I can see my number 5 rather easily and kind of line it up right with it. It's a lot easier if you have them right side by side. Again, I split my box up into 4 equal squares. And for number 5, there wasn't a lot that I needed to put in there. In some of the boxes, you're going to have quite a bit to draw. In other boxes, there might be nothing. Like on number 6 that we're going to do here in just a minute, there's nothing in number 6. So we kind of leave that one alone. And that's the end of number 5. Now let's go ahead and take a look at number 6. Where is number 6? Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Hey, there's nothing there. So we're going to leave it blank. And let's move on to our next row. Let's find number 7. Okay, there's number 7. Let's go. There's nothing there, so let's move on to number 8. Okay, I found number 8, and again, I want to fold it over so I can see it a little bit better. Another thing I wanted to tell you guys as well, you do not have to have a printer to do this. You can open your source document on a computer and use that as your source document. I think it's a little bit easier if you have something to print from. Also, if you don't have access to a printer, you can create your own grid, and I'll give you the measurements for that grid, and then just use the image from your computer as your source document. Now notice on this one, you see as you start putting them in how it's going to start already lining up with number 2. Not a lot of lines here, but one thing I want you to notice, and that one edge, that one corner that I'm doing right now, that line is a little bit thicker. I'm not filling anything in yet. I'm going to do that a little bit later. I'm just putting light lines in. The reason I don't want to do it right now is because if I make a mistake somewhere, I want to be able to go back and erase it. And I'll be honest with you guys right now, I don't know what this is going to, what image this actually is. So this is almost like a puzzle, just like it is for you. Do a little. I couldn't do a video without doing some time lapse, but that's as much as I got done, and I'm not going to do any further. I think you guys have the basic idea. I just don't want to give away what it is when, quite frankly, I don't know what it is yet, but it should be interesting moving forward. Have fun with it. Have a good day.